Hi, my name is Chris Salter. I'm the founder and creator of the Piano Wizard Academy. And recently we've just seen some people asking a couple questions. Why should I spend all this money on your program when I can get this, that, or the other for $10 a month or $10 a week or $20 a lesson and blah, blah, blah. And they're valid questions, right? Money's tight. Look, we know. We're not getting rich off of this. We're doing it out of love. But I'm going to just share some things with you. There's about four basic approaches to learning to play the piano. The traditional piano teacher, you pay every week, and it's got the advantage of there's a live person, there's feedback there while they're in the lesson, and if that person's a good teacher, that can be very inspiring. Your drawbacks are in the practice arena where the kid goes home and they're not really sure what do I do and I don't remember, and plus you are often dealing with a lot of theory just to decipher some written notation and then practice, and the drills can be kind of boring because you must learn the scales and you must learn chords and you must learn practice this piece. This is the drawback, and this many of us went through this as kids, and I did, and it's just non-productive, awful. I did not learn as a kid. I actually literally had like one lesson and ran. But this is, a lot of us have learned this way. It's almost medieval in some ways, right? And if you have a bad teacher, there's a study done that kids that have had piano lessons actually are less likely to listen to classical music than people who have had no piano lessons. That's a pretty devastating kind of statistic. What's happening? Their trauma, right? They struggle with this very archaic kind of coded process, and it's not even the piano teacher's fault. It's just a very tough thing to decipher music notation after 1,000 years of changes and adaptations and permutations. It's not a really easy way to get in. Okay, so the next way is like non-traditional piano teachers, say Suzuki method, where you learn by modeling, right? And modeling is a very primary way. Our method actually tries to emulate a lot of the best features of modeling, but the challenges there on the Suzuki method are the same, in cost and time to get to the teachers and all that. But also, you have the challenge of practice. So they go in there, they get a great lesson, and then they have to practice, right? And when you're modeling, it's great when they're right there. Okay, did I do that right? Okay, but if they're not there, right? So the drawback again, practice is unsupervised, no feedback, and the costs and the inconvenience. But the advantages are that you have live feedback, and if it's a non-traditional approach, less maybe rigidity, less focus just on the notation. By the way, Suzuki method, one of the challenges they have with piano lessons is reading. They become good players, but they're not really able to read. It's less a problem with the violin because it's linear, but the piano is very challenging. Right? So those are the first two. The next one is, of course, logically video lessons. Right? Well, now I know I can keep modeling. Right? I've got that, and that's certainly affordable. You often get very good teachers who are teaching those courses, at least very knowledgeable, and and we actually incorporate part of that into our academy because it is just a very cheap resource for lots of knowledge. Right? You can put things on video and people can see things, right? The challenges with that are there's no feedback, right? There's nobody encouraging you. There's nothing. By the way, we did a survey. The number one attribute that people want from a piano teacher: patience, encouragement, kindness. Not knowledge about music, not training at the Juilliard. No, patience, right? So, on one hand, the video programs are very patient. They're infinitely, right? On the other hand, there's no encouragement. There's no feedback. There's nothing to do, right? So it can be very challenging to keep focused, and often the value of a teacher is to steer you left, steer you right. Okay, move. So you aren't just going on this like tunnel that has no real sense to you, right? And if you get distracted by a song like on the play Imagine by John Lennon, right? Well, that's not in the the video, right? So those are the challenges of the videos, and they are less costly, and but they are more challenging to stick with. And if you have really high sense of discipline, that may be the way to go. It is limited to what's available on video, right? There's not a lot of amplitude there, choice, but it's a way to get going, right? But again, no feedback, right? The third method, or fourth method, that was traditional, non-traditional piano teachers, and then videos, and then really is interactive computer type tutorials. And this is kind of where we're most close, but not really. The challenges with those are, again, the discipline. They might have videos included, and then there's some interactivity. I see what I'm doing, but most of them will start with musical notation. So that we know that a lot of people, we make ours a game because it works for the kids and for the adults. It's a simpler interface. It's more inviting. A lot of people are PC phobic. The computer. Oh my God, right. So then they get to that. Then they get to the notation, and trying to figure out the program. Trying to figure out this can be frustrating. If you get into it, you can kind of get some feedback, right? You can play. Oh, I played that wrong. I played that right, but not necessarily a lot of guidance there. In the sense of musicality, okay? So there's advantages to that, right? And there are courses out there, but again, whenever you start with the musical notation, you're really setting the bar really high, okay? So this is like a 10-foot jump wall with barbed wire on top for you to get over, then you can get into the music, right? That's basically how I feel, is that music notation is a barrier more than it's a facilitator, and it should. When you actually understand music notation and can read music, you literally, my thing I thought of this morning is that learning to read a song is like deciphering a letter from God. It literally is that magical. I remember vividly playing a piece by Chopin that I just deciphered on the piano and memorized, and every chord I was like, wow, this guy's a genius. But of course the genius came through him, right? So the computer programs can give you feedback. They're lower cost. They're some of them you can plug in new songs, right? The videos may not accompany them. That's the challenge, but that's it. But the challenge with most of those is that they start with musical notation, so there's a whole education about theory in order for you to decipher and then try and play along. And they're rarely structured like a game, okay? And so for a kid, this can be like, 2 levels of, Dante's Inferno. So those are the other broad things that are out there.